Welcome into NBA Now on Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. We are just 5 days away from the NBA trade deadline. This Thursday, February 6th, tons of rumors flying around regarding NBA trades. Today, I'm going to do 3 players that should be traded and 3 players that should not be traded before the NBA trade deadline. Starting with the players that should be traded, Andre Drummond. I've got him as the number 3 guy I think that should be traded. Look, a couple of reasons. One, Pistons aren't going anywhere, right? They're a mess. Blake Griffin's hurt. He can't stay healthy. It's just not a great put-together roster. I just don't think they're winning anytime soon with that roster makeup. Get some young assets and look forward to the future. Now, Drummond is in the last year of his deal, but he does have a player option for next season. That's why I don't have him higher than my other 2 guys. So, maybe if you're Detroit, you can bring him, you can keep him. Maybe he opts in, but I don't think that is very likely. I think he will be set for free agency and sign elsewhere anyway. The worst thing you can do in the NBA is hang on to star talent and they sign elsewhere when you could have traded them and gotten assets for them. Sure, you might sell 75 cents on the dollar, but that's better than getting nothing at all for a team that is not winning really anytime soon, at least at a very high level. 17 points, 16 boards, blocks, almost 2 shots per game. He can be an asset for a contending team. Unfortunately for Detroit, that is not the Detroit Pistons. Now, here are 3 teams I think make some sense for Andre Drummond. So I don't think there's a lot, actually. More of a traditional center. Teams don't, they like their centers being able to space the floor. Drummond doesn't really do that. But Boston Celtics, they've got everything they need except for a true big man. Andre Drummond can provide that. The Atlanta Hawks, I think they should circle back to Drummond. They've been linked to every available center on the market. Why not go back and try and get Andre Drummond and continue to build around Trae Young? And then this is a long shot, a dark horse, but how about the Memphis Grizzlies? I know they got Valanciunas, but maybe he's part of that trade, and you can upgrade to Andre Drummond. I think that could make some sense. You've got Jaren Jackson. You've got Ja Morant. They're trending in the right direction, trying to make the playoffs this year as the current 8 seed in the Western Conference. I think they could be a dark horse option for Andre Drummond. Question for you. Where will Drummond be on February 7th, the day after the NBA trade deadline? Will he be with Detroit, or will he be elsewhere? Type D for Detroit, type E for elsewhere. I think he'll be elsewhere. I think they will find a trade partner for Andre Drummond, so I'm typing my E, but let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Now, we've been consistent, lots of NBA videos over the last several weeks, trade rumors, SZN. We're going to continue to pump out the NBA trade rumor videos all the way up until the deadline. Will be live on Thursday for the NBA trade deadline special here at Chat Sports. Got to subscribe, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll have our trade deadlines winners and losers as well. Lots of more videos after the deadline leading on into the NBA playoffs, the buyout markets, tons of stuff going on in the NBA. Got to hit that big red button. Be subscribed to Chat Sports. We're plugging out NBA videos almost every single day. Number 2, I have got Marcus Morris. Talked about him on Friday on our latest NBA trade rumors video. Having a career season for the Knicks. I know the Clippers are interested. The Knicks are a dumpster fire. We know that. He's on a 1-year, $15 million contract. He's not going to re-sign most likely after this season, which means James Dolan will probably not trade him and keep him because he does the opposite of what makes logical sense. But I'm begging the Knicks, please trade him. You'll get a first-round pick for him with the type of season he is having. Now you're hearing this chatter, the Knicks, let's build around Marcus Morris. He's 30 years old. He is not a superstar. You don't build around Marcus Morris. He's a complimentary piece. Now he's having a nice season, but it's also because he's having to take a lot more shots than he has previously in his career. Those last 3 years, those are more the type of numbers he puts up when he's playing for a contender like he was in Boston. I think these 3 teams make the most sense. LA Clippers, by far the front runner. They want him. They want to add toughness. They want to add an extra shooter. He can be a perfect 6-man, 7th-man type for them, depending on what they would do with their starting 5 if they made a trade. He could start as well. He can certainly be that stretch 4 player for the Clippers. Utah Jazz, they could use more shooting. They're already a good defensive team. Morris would help in that regard as well. He can play the 3, he can play the 4, add another 3-point shooter in Morris. That makes some sense. And then the Houston Rockets, kind of a dark horse team here. Haven't heard a lot with Morris and the Rockets, but they're interested in adding to their lineup. I think Marcus Morris catching passes from Harden and Westbrook on the weak side and having wide open threes would be certainly a good fit there as well. Now, speaking of the Knicks, what is the worst franchise in the NBA? It's got to be the Knicks, right? They have everything you could have. You got New York, you got Madison Square Garden. You just have an idiot owner in James Dolan. Let me know, who is the worst franchise in the NBA? I think it is the New York Knicks, with all the perks that come with playing in New York, and they still are a bottom dweller in the NBA. Today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. You can bet on all kinds of things, not just in the NBA, but in all sports at BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet is where you can get signed up. Use our promo code NBA120. If you want to bet on who you think is going to win the NBA title this year, go do it at BetDSI. Here are the top 5 latest odds according to BetDSI. Lakers at plus 240, Bucks at plus 300. You got the Clippers, Sixers, and Rockets, your next 3 teams there. Bunch of good value plays down even below those teams as well. So I think it's kind of a wide open year in the NBA. 7 or 8 teams really could go on a run to win the NBA Finals. Got to sign up at BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code NBA120. All right, my number 1 guy that needs to be traded, it's Robert Covington. We've talked about him a lot here on Chat Sports, whether it's me or one of our other NBA hosts. We know the drill. The Timberwolves suck. Covington is a role player that is meant to be on a contending team, which is not Minnesota, and tons of teams are interested. He is the prototypical role player in today's NBA. Play good defense, know your role, shoot open threes. That is what Robert Covington does. Now, look, his numbers as far as percentage aren't great this year. Why? Minnesota doesn't have a point guard, and they're not a very good team, so he's not getting the type of looks he's used to getting if he's on a contending team. He's better than a 34.7% three-point shooter. He's more like 37, 38%. You put him on a good team, that number will rise. I promise you that. But he is an ideal role player, excellent defender, can defend 1, 2, or 3 position in the NBA, can defend point guard, small forwards, whatever the drill is. He is excellent at it. You can't screen on him because he can switch and still hold up. I've got these 5 teams up for logical fits, but quite frankly, all 30 teams in the NBA would like to have Robert Covington because he fits what the NBA teams are trying to do in 2020. Rockets, Sixers, Mavericks, Jazz, and Nuggets are some teams I outlined, but really any team that's contending this year makes sense for Robert Covington. Now, I mentioned the deadline is on February 6th. Which player do you want to see get traded? I just mentioned 3. I think Andre Drummond needs to get traded. Pistons aren't going anywhere. Same with Marcus Morris and the Knicks. They should get a first-round pick back for him. And Robert Covington, who has a very team-friendly contract. You will get nice assets in return for him. But which player do you want to see get traded? Let me know. I'll be active in the comments and reply to you guys. Let me know which player you want to see get traded before the deadline on February 6th. Now, I got 3 players that should not be traded, in my opinion, starting with DAngelo Russell. Look, I got him at number 3 because if they get the absolute perfect package for him, I wouldn't blame Golden State. But I just think, look, he's in the first year of that 4-year max extension he signed last summer. Why not wait? Why not wait and see if he can mesh with Steph and Clay next season? If it doesn't work, you can trade him at the next deadline. His value's not going to change that much. He's having a great season as the primary guy, playing with, quite frankly, a bunch of reserves and a couple of G League players on most teams, quite frankly. 24 points, 6 assists, almost 4 boards. That three-point percentage is very good. That's career high for DAngelo Russell at over 38%. He's having a nice year. Imagine what he could shoot from the field if he's playing with a fully healthy Warriors lineup. Look at what this could be. I really would like to see this unit play together. Now, Kevon Looney at center, I plugged him in because they traded Cauley-Stein. We'll see. He's been hurt most of the season as well. It's probably going to be someone else at center, but Steph Curry, DAngelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, pick your 5 position. Doesn't really matter. They'll probably sign someone in free agency. I think the Warriors owe it to themselves to see if DAngelo Russell can mesh with this unit. Now, defensively, they would be challenged at times. That team could put up 130 points a game, though. Like, that offense would be able to score a lot. I know there's this idea, they signed D'Lo just so they could trade him. Why not see if he can fit? Worst case scenario, again, you trade him before next year's deadline. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the Warriors should keep DAngelo Russell this year. Now, I mentioned our sports betting partner, BetDSI. Again, go get signed up at chatsports.com/bet. It is Super Bowl Sunday. If you want to go bet on the Super Bowl, you can do it at BetDSI. Use our promo code NBA120. Get that 120% deposit bonus. You can bet on NBA games. You can bet on prop bets for the Super Bowl tonight, which are always a ton of fun. All kinds of sports. Got to get signed up today with BetDSI. Number 2 player that should not be traded, in my opinion, I got Jrue Holiday. On Friday's show, we talked about how teams are starting to get interested and that the Pelicans aren't exactly looking to trade him, but they've got a high price for him, and if they get the right offer, they might consider it. I don't think they should do that. You just got Zion back. You've got Brandon Ingram, who's an all-star for the first time in his career. You've got some young pieces you can build with. Jrue Holiday's still only 29 years old. That is young in the NBA. Now, if you get overwhelmed with an offer, sure, pull the trigger on something, especially if you get 1 or 2 young players in return. But I think they should keep him and try and continue to build around Zion and Brandon Ingram with Jrue Holiday. That's a nice 3-man punch right there. Maybe you trade a J.J. Redick instead, an aging veteran who would make sense for a contender. But I think the Pelicans should keep Jrue Holiday. He's putting up great numbers. He's a good two-way guard. He can help mold Zion as he gets used to the NBA. I would keep Jrue Holiday if I'm the Pelicans, not just for the future. They're not out of the mix this year. You look at that battle for the 8th seed in the Western Conference, they're only about 4.5 games back. Plenty of time left. They were starting to play better before Zion came back. Now they're really playing well. Crushed Memphis, by the way, who's currently sitting in the number 8 seed in the West the other night. Beat them by about 30 points in the battle of the premier rookies in Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. I would try and make a push this year with Jrue, and then more importantly, in the future, build around this young talent, including Jrue Holiday. But what do you guys think? What should the Pelicans do with Jrue Holiday? Type T for trade him. Type K for keep him. I'm keeping him. I think he's a valuable asset. You've got him under contract for a couple of more years. I think he can bring a lot to the table, help mold some of these young players who haven't been in the NBA that long. I didn't even mention guys like Jackson Hayes, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They've got a lot of young talent on this team. I am keeping Jrue Holiday if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans. Then number 1, I've got Kyle Lowry. Now, I got ripped a couple of weeks ago, and it has blown up in my face, even though it wasn't my report, my rumor. We talked about how the Raptors were considering, reportedly, building around Siakam and trading some of their veterans like Lowry, Gasol, and Serge Ibaka. Well, they haven't lost since we released that video. They've won 10 games in a row to vault themselves comfortably into the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. If anything, maybe you look to buy if you're Toronto. Not buy super high, but maybe add a shooter or something like that. I think that could make some sense for the Raptors as well. I'm definitely keeping Kyle Lowry, who is the face of that franchise. Almost 20 points per game, over 7 assists, and almost grabbing 5 rebounds. He's having a really good season for Toronto. The Raptors, this core has played together for a while. Yeah, they don't have Kawhi Leonard, but outside of the Bucks in the East, they're as good as anybody in the Eastern Conference. Why not try to repeat in 2020? Why not try and defend that title? That is definitely what I am doing if I am the Toronto Raptors. You look at the East, yeah, the Bucks are going to be the team to beat, but you beat them last year, and until they break through, you're the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. You got Boston, you got Miami. Celtics have the tiebreaker over the Heat currently with that 2-0 head-to-head record. Sixers and the Indiana Pacers down there below these 4 teams. It's a deeper Eastern Conference this year, but there's no reason why the Toronto Raptors can't make a run to the NBA Finals.